So I had a couple of people requesting that I do a garden tour and show how the garden is coming along. So let's do it. So as you can see, the bees are loving the onions. We let them go to seed. We also have our walking onions here. And they're about to walk all over the place. They usually walk out of the bed. But what I'm really happy with is our salad bed. It has really come along. So I have to say that the 6-inch spacing was perfect. Just perfect. There's not much space in between for weeds to come up, and they're spaced so nicely that they're all getting nice heads. And we were harvesting a leaf here and a leaf there, but now we're going to start cutting the heads off. I gotta say, I'm loving the flowers right now in the garden. I believe these are Shirley poppies, and I just love the color. They are just gorgeous. Alright, well, we'll head out to the garden and see what's going on there. So our corn is about maybe 6 to 8 inches high right now. And we have a voluntary grapevine growing in there. Some of it over here. So this is 2 different kinds, and it's interesting because I don't know if it's location or the difference in kind, but this corn is larger than a lot of this corn. But they're coming up nicely in spite of everything. And we've planted squash. I think we tried to plant it every 5 or so holes, but not all of them came up. So we have different rows, have different pumpkin or squash. And as you can see, the chipmunks. Oh, the chipmunks. So as we get closer to the house and farther from cover, we have more corn in the holes. And as we come closer to this side, nature, where they can hide, you can see how many holes. I could physically see them digging them up when I was doing dishes, but anyways, we'll have to reseed some of the sorghum, obviously, because that was obviously something that they were definitely attacking. But at least we have some coming up, and it's a short season sorghum, so it's okay. Now I have to say, on a previous video, I was going on about how the elderberry didn't do very well for us ever here. And I have to take that back, because this year, the elderberry looks amazing. Like, previous years we'd get under 10 flowers. This year, it is loaded. I just hope it keeps going like that. So I'm really looking forward to making elderberry syrup with them. And although the chipmunks are stealing our unripe currants, there is going to be all kinds of currants again. The pink champagne currants are loaded this year. We didn't get very many last year, so I'm really happy to see that they're finally coming into their own. It looks like the thing I love about them is a red currant's smaller than a black currant, but they taste better. And pink champagne is more like the size of a black currant, but it has more the taste of a red currant or even like a white currant. So it's nice, and it looks like they're just starting. I see. Not quite yet. They're just starting. And our red currants, I know I saw a couple. Just starting to ripen up too. I got a few reds here and there. And of course the black currants are so loaded that they're like bending down to the ground. But that is not unusual. The plants are literally just weighed down. Huh, did you hear them? Yeah. You were enjoying that, were you? So we already have some that are turning black. We'll have to keep an eye. It looks like we're getting a lot of bugs this year, which our neighbors say the same thing, so it seems to be a really buggy year. Anyways, it looks like there's going to be a good harvest. And we've already harvested a whole bunch of haskaps. I had to come out and pick them real quick the other night. The plant is just loaded. And they are ripe. And we wouldn't have known except the birds have been taking them on us. And they're like dropping off. There's so many. So I'm out here picking at bug hour so that I can have them instead of the birds. Anyways, definitely more productive than our blueberries. We still have some coming on. There's the odd ones still. That's good. So some plants are more tangy than others. This one's not bad. I think the earlier varieties were a little tangier. They're kind of like a tart blueberry. Like if you took a blueberry that was still a little underripe and ate it, that's kind of how I would describe them. What do you think?
They're good.
Says the man who likes tart blueberries.
No.
No? That's Gavin. You gonna eat them all?
Yep. Unless you want some.
I wouldn't mind one. I want to see if they all taste the same. Well, that one's more tart. Maybe it wasn't ripe. I tried the one at the end and it was pretty good. I gotta try one of those. What do you think?
They're about the same.
Really? Because mine was so much better.
I think you probably have an underripe one. That one was like a blueberry.
See, so if you get them ripe enough, they're pretty close to a blueberry. But underripe, which unfortunately we tend to want to steal them before the chipmunks do, so we get them a little underripe. So even though I picked a decent sized bowl full, we still have some coming. All right, let's move on.
You know over to this bush?
No, I didn't mean over to the next bush. So we planted our, I don't know if I'm going to regret this, but we planted our ground cherries over here. These were the Aunt Molly's. And we spaced them about 3 feet apart. I'm not sure if I'm going to try to grow something else in the middle or just leave it and let them bush out. I'm happy to see that our grapevines, look like they're going to give us a good amount of grapes. So we're going to get to try some of our new varieties. Not all of them flowered and produced grapes last year, so I'm excited that we're seeing a lot more grapes this year. And I think the raspberries are almost going to be ready soon. I can't believe in the last little while how much the cabbage is starting to really do well. We don't normally get good cauliflower here, so I'm just hoping that it'll turn out okay. The broccoli, unfortunately, I don't know if it was the variety. We bought plants. I don't think so. I think it's the heat. So I might just have to replant the broccoli when it cools off a bit. But the kale's doing well. I was looking forward to these gooseberries because last year they were so good. Like in the gooseberries we have wild here are really spiny, and they're yummy, but they're spiny. And these are like absolutely smooth, and they were really yummy, and they're like a yellow gooseberry. Unfortunately, before they've had a chance to ripen up, the chipmunk has come along and been picking at them and pulling them down. And the red one is looking nice. But the thing about the gooseberries is they seem to take a really long time to produce, to get big and produce compared to the currants. But these guys have grown a lot since last year, so that's a good sign. So maybe by next year we'll have a good crop. I can't wait to get the gazebo here finished and get the table and chairs underneath and get it screened in so that the bugs can't bother us, and it'll be a nice little place to take a break and enjoy being near the garden, but being able to hear the birds and being in the shade, and the fish are nearby, and it's just nice. So I'm looking forward to that being all done, hopefully sometime soon. Anyways, let's head into the greenhouse. So I just finished watering. It's already getting pretty hot in the greenhouse, but I thought we'd take a quick tour and continue on our garden tour and see what's new in the greenhouse, what we're harvesting. So you can see a bit of a difference in height as we go through towards the back of the beds in the tomato plants and other plants. These all were pretty much the same size and planted pretty close to the same time, but just the space and being in here and being watered has really helped them, being out of their pots. So these guys are looking pretty good, but as you go on, the other two beds were planted before them, and so on and so forth. And we'll head to the back and see. Already we're getting beginnings of tomatoes on quite a few of them. And our cucumbers, it's kind of similar. These vines were planted after some of the ones at the back, so they're getting started. I don't know that we've had too many cucumbers off these yet, but we have been getting lots of cucumbers off of these ones. So these are mostly slicers here, and there's quite a few of them coming on. You can see the scarring. We have cucumber beetles in a major way, and I'm hoping they're not going to kill my plants. We've done some diatomaceous earth to try to help, and then I've just been picking them off. Some more tomatoes. So these are green finger, I believe, and over here, the ones we looked at were muncher. Yeah, muncher, green finger. It's like a jungle in here. So we have done some pruning to kind of create more airflow for a lot of them and strung most of them up. Some of them need to be pruned again. Some are just more vigorous than others. I've never grown this way in the greenhouse before in the raised beds. I've always grown in the soil, and our soil is really sandy, and usually We would have blossom and rot if we had paste tomatoes, but they're doing really well. So they're really happy in the soil that they have. And we have more paste tomatoes over here. Now we'll head into the back. Oh, first, our national pickling. I have to say, I'm really a fan of national pickling. I didn't think I was going to be. I thought it would be quarantine that would be my favorite. And I like the quarantine okay, but the national pickling, the skin seems to hold together better when you pickle them. And we've already had lots of pickles, so it's been really nice. So in this bed we planted cucumbers up the trellis, and then we planted beans. This is Blue Lake. In here, some of them have been dug up by little chipmunk. So there's some spaces that are empty. And then at the other end we have a ground cherry. It seems to be doing quite well. It went in really small and it's done really well. So on this last cucumber trellis, this is where our slicing cucumbers are. So we've got nice long slicers coming along. I really like these. They're not bitter. So one of the varieties is the Shinto Kiwa that I always grow. And then we have the other variety that's new to me. And I'm just trying to find the name. That's Shinto Kiwa. Those are both Shinto Kiwa. So the other one's over here. Jabi Shimashir. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But they've both been equally good. I found that I liked both of them. They're kind of similar. And they're both not bitter. And they both grow long. And if you trellis them, they grow pretty straight. So this is that ground cherry. It's already getting some fruit on it. Now we'll head into the back. And the back was planted quite a bit before the rest, so it is doing fantastic. Let's see if I can get these tomato plants in here. So this is our Precipice Borghese, and it is growing quite tall. So in comparison, now they are in a bed that is probably a little over 2 feet tall. But in comparison, to me, they're quite tall. And they're going to keep going until they reach up towards the ceiling. So that's the benefit of having them here in the greenhouse. I definitely don't get the same results here outside. We've let our radishes go to seed because they make yummy pods. And you can eat these. And if you hear them crunch open, and they break easily, like that, then they are tasty and yummy. And I find that I like them way better than radishes. So for the past few years when we've grown radishes, we've pretty much grown them for the seed pods. So our zucchinis are still going strong. And I'm pretty happy with this bed. It's planted really thickly. The borage is kind of fallen over and is coming back out on this side, and I think it looks pretty. We have a little bit of nasturtium coming out underneath. And it's going to start cascading over the edge and looking really nice. And it doesn't seem to be harming the zucchinis any. I don't think anything could harm them. The dill is poking up through, and we've got some dill heads to harvest. And I haven't picked my zucchinis in a couple of days, so we've got some massive zucchinis in here. But we've been picking them and shredding them and making burgers and freezing them. And the only thing, like I think I said in another video, the beans might suffer a little bit being in here, but so far they're getting beans, so we've got our first beans coming. So they're doing okay. Just the only thing with it being thick is it's a little harder to harvest. You got to kind of look through. But I think overall it's a good use of space and it looks pretty. We had to resow our carrot bed because I left the radishes in and they kind of took over. And so they shaded out some of the carrots, but we still have some carrots coming and the beets are looking wonderful. I'll have to harvest some of those soon. We've been harvesting the Swiss chard and we've had so much, we've been giving it away. Kale's doing great. Our other bed back here with the zucchinis is doing fairly well. We've been getting some zucchinis, a few less than in the front. I'm not sure if it's just because they're younger plants or if the pollination, maybe the pollinators don't come back here as much, I don't know, but they're still giving us zucchinis. And our greens bed, we pulled most of the greens and we just left the amaranth. This is a red leaf amaranth. We want to harvest the seed. And then we have the borage is toppled over again. So if I grew borage again, I think I'd either string it up or put it in a tomato cage or something. But it's been nice and pretty, and the bed was emptied, so we're able to have it fall over in. The nasturtium has pretty much just cascaded over the edge and taken over on the floor, and we just let it do that. And if you haven't tried nasturtium flowers, they are absolutely gorgeous in salads. And the taste is not really anything overpowering. It has just a hint of a peppery flavor, but with kind of a sweet side, so it's really nice. So we have some more cucumbers here. I didn't water as good as I could have yesterday, so they're kind of wilting a bit, but they'll bounce back. So I think these are the quarantine, and the only thing I found about them was they taste great, and even when they get too big you can pick them and eat them just in a salad, but the skin is rather soft when you pickle them, so sometimes the skin doesn't hold up in pickling. But they are prolific, that's for sure. You can see the diatomaceous earth, my attempt at getting rid of the beetles. And again, we have some dill peeking out and the borage peeking out. But these plants are just climbing for the ceiling and producing all the time. We've had so many, we've made pickles ourselves, a couple batches, and then we've been giving them away for others to make pickles. There's just been so many. And we've got some tomatoes coming. I believe this is Sicilian saucer, just by the looks of it. I haven't really looked to see what it was called. Oh wow, we got some down here hiding. That's a big one. Well, I'm not going to find the name right now, but it sure reminds me of Sicilian saucer. It's either that or it's going to be Kellogg. I'll have to look later and put it in. Anyways, what I really wanted to show you was these radish pods. So, they say different varieties taste differently. But it's kind of like a sweet pea mixed with a radish. So it's got a sweet side, but then it has just a hint of radish heat, just a hint. And they are prolific, and they're said to come for a long time. The only thing I would say is that you kind of have to, oh, the heat's coming on now. So the heat is kind of in the end. but we really like them. And in the heat of summer when a sweet pea won't grow, these make a nice substitute in stir fry or just in salad or just munching on. We do have, I don't know what happened to our peas here. They got a little dried out, but they're still producing some pods. Go around the other side so you can see. The flowers on these are just beautiful. And they produce a pretty purple pod, which I love. So when they're small, you eat them just like this. So I'm really happy with the way things are coming along back here. And I'm hoping that soon we'll have some tomatoes. These are the Precipice Borghese, which are for drying, so I'm looking forward to those. So it's getting really warm in here now, so I'm going to cut this a little bit short. I hope you've enjoyed the little quick tour and all the updates, and I really sincerely believe that everybody should have some sort of greenhouse that they can grow in all summer for their tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers at least. And we've grown so many other things in here. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.